Today, we're going to dig into a really critical security flaw in one of the absolute go-to tools for Node.js developers, Axios. And we're going to show you how just one single, deceptively simple line of code can be used to bring down an entire server. Yeah, you heard that right. If your application or service depends on Node.js, and so many do, you are really going to want to pay attention to this. We're talking about a vulnerability that lets an attacker instantly crash your application with a tiny, almost harmless-looking little piece of data.
So, to really get the scale of this problem, we first need to appreciate just how widespread this library is. Let's start with the basics.
For anyone who might not be familiar, Axios is pretty much the gold standard for making HTTP requests in the JavaScript world. It's a promise-based client, and it's used in literally millions of projects, from simple websites to huge enterprise-level backend services. Its popularity means it's running on countless servers right now, which is exactly why a vulnerability like this has such a massive blast radius.
Okay, so now that we know what's at stake, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the issue. How does this attack actually work?
So, let's look at the official breakdown. This vulnerability is tracked as CVE 2026-25639. And you'll want to notice that severity rating. It's classified as high, with a CVSS score of 7.5 out of 10. That's a really clear signal from the security community that this is a serious threat. And the threat here is what's called a denial of service, or DoS attack. The goal isn't to steal your data, it's just to shut your service down completely. You can think of it like a digital kill switch that makes your application totally inaccessible to all of your legitimate users.
So the weakness is actually buried deep inside a utility function in Axios called mergeConfig. Now this function's job is to combine configuration objects, but it has a fatal flaw. It completely fails to properly handle a very special JavaScript property, __proto__. You see, in JavaScript, this property points to an object's prototype, and by messing with it, an attacker can literally change the behavior of every object in the application. It's a classic case of prototype pollution, and it is the key to this entire exploit.
All right, now let's flip the script and look at this from an attacker's point of view. You might be surprised at just how ridiculously easy this is to pull off.
This right here, this is the weapon. This single line of JSON is the entire malicious payload. I mean, it looks like a typo, right? A totally harmless piece of data. But when it gets sent to a vulnerable server, it acts like a poison pill.
So how does this tiny little thing cause total chaos? Well, first, an attacker sends this malicious JSON to any part of your app that accepts it and then passes it into an Axios configuration. Second, that vulnerable mergeConfig function tries to process it. Third, and this is because of that special _proto key, the library tries to do something impossible. It tries to call JavaScript's base object prototype as if it were a function. And the result? The entire Node.js process just dies instantly.
And that brings us to the real-world impact. We're not talking about slowing a server down or causing some kind of memory leak. No, this is a complete and immediate application crash. Game over. Let's just put that number up on the screen again. 7.5. It's a high-severity score for a very good reason. Let's quickly break down why.
Honestly, this vulnerability is just a perfect storm. The attack can be launched over the network from anywhere on the planet. The complexity is incredibly low. Anyone can do it. The attacker needs zero special privileges or permissions, and it requires zero interaction from a user. And the final blow is the impact, a complete loss of availability. Your service just goes offline.
Okay, so it's a really serious problem. But here's the good news. There is a direct and immediate fix available. So let's look at what you need to do right now.
All right, listen up, because this is probably the most important takeaway from this whole explainer. All versions of Axios, up to and including version 1.13.4, are vulnerable. The fix is in version 1.13.5. If you're using Axios, this is the version you need to be on, like yesterday. So, what's your action plan? It's just two simple but very urgent steps. First, go upgrade to Axios version 1.13.5 in all of your projects. Now, go check your package lock JSON or your yarn lock files. Second, as a best practice, you should really audit your codebase. Look for any place where input from a user could possibly flow directly into an Axios configuration method. That right there is your attack surface.
And this really brings us to our final thought. Think about it. This was a critical bug hiding in plain sight in a core function of a globally popular library, and it was exploitable with a single line of text. So the question we'll leave you with is this.
What other simple, devastating flaws might be hiding in all those other dependencies you rely on every day?